G'day guys, Make here with the Out Circle. And today I want to take a look at one of Forge World's fuck-ups, not Games Workshop's. We're going to look at custodes and how basic factors of balancing have just been thrown out the window, and when you compare like with like custode units with roughly equivalent Legion units, the points are just clearly one-sided in favour of the custodes, and it's a massive problem, this power creep. For all their talk about having play-tested custodes and balanced them properly, I feel pretty confident saying they're full of shit. They may have play-tested them, it may have worked with the specific loadouts they used when they play-tested, but I think we can confidently say that they are broken as fuck. What I've done is I've created some side-by-side comparisons here with the help of my friend Colin. He wanted to chip in on the show, lend a hand, so I got him to knock up this one here. On the left you have the Legion Centurion. Ignore this little spreadsheet down the bottom, we'll talk about that later. And on the right here, you have a Legio Custode Guardian Squad. This is your real basic infantry in the Custodes army, they're the ones with the spear. So, why am I comparing a Marine HQ to a Custode infantryman, just a regular troop? I'm comparing them because they're about the same points. A Centurion is 50 points stock. That's with the stat line you see here before any war gear. A Custode is 55 points stock without any of the war gear you see here. Now, what I've done is in orange, we have the boxes where their stats are the same. In red is where that person is inferior, and green where they're superior. In the case of the Legion Centurion, he is equal or worse to the Custode in everything but attacks, where he has one higher attack value. But the Custode is clearly superior across the rest of the board. Now, the bonuses for being a Space Marine of the Legiones Astartes is that the Legion Centurion will always get to regroup at normal leadership, regardless of how many casualties they've taken, being below 25%, that kind of thing. They'll also get their Legion tactics on top of that, which may add other minor special rules. The Legio Custode, on the other hand, he comes with all the Legio Custode special rules, such as the Sodality, Crusader, that kind of thing, all covered under the Legio Custode rule. It is markedly superior. For example, if the Custode is in close combat with Marines and their average initiative value is higher than the Marines, they get an extra additional initiative value, which means the Legion Centurion, if he's joined to a squad of Space Marines with only initiative 4, will actually be striking after the Custodes. Also worth pointing out, the armor save. Whilst the Centurion comes with only a 3-up armor save stock, the Custodian comes with a 2+ armor save and a 5+ invulnerable save stock. So, the next part in this little experiment is, how would you get one to equal the other? Well, with the Space Marine Centurion, you'd have to add Artificer armor. This takes you up to 60 points and gives you the 2+ save. You'd also need a Refractor Field to get a 5+ invulnerable save, so this will be another 10 points. So you're now 70 points just to get the same armor save as the Custode. Well, what about war gear? Bolt pistol, chainsword, that's not going to do. What is equivalent to a Guardian Spear? Well, sadly, not much, because the Guardian Spear will actually strike at AP 2 on the charge. The closest you might be able to do is going for a Power Spear. However, as far as my knowledge goes, Power Spears are not a accepted power weapon in the Horus Heresy, except for where listed, such as Phoenix Spears. So, the best you could do is a Power Sword. Well, I'm sorry, but a Power Sword is completely inferior to a Power Blade. Yes, you're going to have more attacks, you're going to have 4 attacks generally, having the Power Sword and Bolt Pistol combination. But the Custo doesn't care that you've got a Power Sword. he's getting a 2-up armor save against you, and that's if you even wound him. With his equal weapon skill, out of your 4 attacks, only 2 are ever going to hit. Of those 2, you're more likely to not wound than to actually wound, and if you do somehow wound the Custode, he has a 2+ armor save. On the other hand, he's going to hit with at least one of his 2 attacks. He's going to cause a wound, more often than not, and if it happens to be when he's charged, you're only going to get an invul save. That's just clearly superior. So what the hell? Also, the Custode has a solid ranged option. Yes, the Legion Centurion has a little bit more variety available to him. He can take a combi weapon, but at the same time, the Custode can take a Pyrothite Spear or an Adricite Spear, both of which are very solid and far superior to either of the combi weapon options that's available to the Centurion. So, all we've learned here is that if you want to get anything like the Custode, the basic, most shitty infantry in the Custode's book, if you want to get anything like them, you need a Space Marine HQ, and you're paying nearly twice the points. That's horrible. That is literally horrible for balance. People want to say that, oh, well, you can overcome Custodes with numbers. Now look, I went out and I bought a Custode army back when I did the Is It Shit series on Legio Custodes. Why? I needed to playtest them. So I went out, bought a bunch of infantry, bought some dreadnoughts, all that kind of stuff. Proxied a few of the vehicles, if I'm honest, but it did the job. And what I discovered was, it was like running Eldar in 6th edition. You just pointed them at the enemy and just let them go. And they'd win games. It's insane. They have deep strike denial weapons in the form of air raid shrikes. They have the option to teleport each. They have the option of melter bombs on the squad, if you really want them. But why? Why would you? You don't need it. You have plenty of other weapons you can use. This is where our little spreadsheet comes in down the bottom. Because people like to say, well, if you can't beat the Custodes in quality, you can beat them in quantity. So for the price of 1 Custode, you can get 4 Space Marines. 4 Space Marines. I thought, what is their odds of actually killing the Custode before he makes it into close combat and just wipes the floor with them? So, I worked it out. Firing a bolt gun at long range, so over the rapid fire range, 4 Marines will get 4 shots. They'll hit with 3 of them, they'll wound with 1 of them. And chances are, the Custode will save. And this is, again, all on average. Perfect world, you know. If you're in rapid fire range, however, you're getting twice the shots. So you're going to get twice the hits, and you're going to get twice the wounds. But chances still are the Custode's not going to fail their armor save. What about a bolt gun, rapid firing, and using Fury of the Legion? So doubling the shots again. 16 shots. You get 12 hits, on average causing 6 wounds. And on average, that's a single failed save. That Custode will get into close combat with you. In close combat against Space Marines. 4 Space Marines will not beat 1 Custode. It's that simple. Let's look at 2 of the heaviest units available to the Legions and the Custode. The Leviathan Dreadnought and the Custode Telemon Heavy Dreadnought. Well, this time out you're probably saying, geez Macca, the Custode Dreadnought is 30 points more expensive. That's a huge deal. To which I'll say, no, it is not a huge deal. It doesn't even come close to paying for the balance. You see, it is equal or superior in every single stat to the Leviathan Siege Dreadnought. They're both walkers. They've both got 4 attacks. They've both got armor 13 on the front and side, and they're armor 12 at the rear, so you can't bolt gun these things to death. They've both got 4 hull points. But the Custode Telemon, it's always going to be strength 9, even with no arms. It's always going to be weapon skill 6. It's initiative 5. It's striking before Marines are. Well, maybe you can make up for it with the war gear and the special rules. Oh, alright, let's look at the special rules. The Leviathan has reinforced adamantic shielding. That gives it a 4+ invulnerable save, but if you kill it, it will actually explode, and it adds plus D3 strength and D3 inches to the radius of the explosion when it dies. The poor little Custodes Telemon Dreadnought, however, he gets a 4+ invul save, which gets even better to 3+ against blast weapons of any kind. Oh, and it doesn't blow up more powerfully and have a splash radius. No, there's just no penalty, just it has that refractor field. Well, okay. The Leviathan has Crushing Charge. He does 2 Hammer of Wrath hits. So, does that make up for 30 points? No. Alright, they've both got move through cover. The Custode has Unyielding Sentinel. What is that? Oh, if it actually takes a penetrating hit, you actually roll 2 dice. And then you pick the lowest roll, and that's the one that's applied. The Leviathan Dreadnought doesn't have that. The Leviathan Dreadnought can be taken as a Talon. You want to tell me that you're going to spend the points to buy multiple Leviathan Siege Dreadnoughts when they're kitted out? Once they're kitted out, they're 2/3, 3/4 the cost of an Imperial Knight? No one's going to pay that kind of points if they can avoid it. You've got better shit to spend your points on when you're fighting Custodes. Alright, what about War Gear? Leviathan has very good close combat attacks, because both its weapons, the Siege Claw and the Siege Drill, when combined together, give you variety. Armor Bane and Severing Cut, both of which are superior to the Telemon's weapons. But Telemon has Plasma Projectors built in. What's that? Oh, Heavy Flamer, but it's AP2. Yeah. Leviathan, meanwhile, is shooting melter guns at you. Oh, fuck. Please, not 2 melter gun shots. That's way worse for my Terminator squad than 2 Heavy Flamer templates that are AP2. Yeah, no. Alright, Leviathan. Leviathan Dreadnought has Searchlight, Extra Armor, Frag Grenades. Does the Telemon? Well, actually, yes. It has Smoke Launchers, Searchlight, Extra Armor. It also has Armored Ceramite. So, it's immune to the 2d6 melter rolls. Leviathan Siege Dreadnought has to pay for that at 20 points. So, that one upgrade alone to the Leviathan makes it only 10 points cheaper than the Telemon. The Telemon also comes with a built-in torso-mounted Spiculous Bolt Launcher. Kind of looks like a missile launcher. Well, the Leviathan can get something similar. She's got to pay another 15 points. Oh, but the Leviathan's one's 1 use only. And it's not really as strong. But it's got a low AP, Strength 5, AP 2, Crawling Fire, Lingering Death, Heavy 3, 1 use only. That sounds good, but it's 1 use only. Meanwhile, the Telemon can fire its Heavy 5 Rending attack twice if it hasn't moved in the turn. So it's getting 10 shots at Strength 5 AP 4, and the range on it is 48 inches compared to the Phosphex Discharger, which has a 6 to 18 inch range. So if you equip these things to be anyway similar, the Telemon is beating it in special rules, it's beating it in raw stat line, it's got better chance of survivability because it's got a slightly better invulnerable save, and it also is more likely to take less damage thanks to the having to discard the highest damage roll you cause against it. Same points. What the fuck? Alright, what about the weapons? Does the Leviathan have anything that comes close to the Arachnus Storm Cannon? No. Simply put, no. Anything the Leviathan has, which has a low AP, like AP 1, even AP 3, it doesn't have range. You're talking 24 inches range on its longest ranged weapon. The Telemon can sit at twice that range and fire all of its ranged weapons. And again, it can fire these things multiple times. In the case of the Spiculus launcher, and it has a variety of options: concentrated blast and burst fire. If it has to deal with a tank, it can deal with the tank. Conversely, if it sees infantry coming, it can swap to the alternate firing mode and deal with them. The Leviathan doesn't have that. Its weapon is just good at one thing. Usually, it's really good at killing infantry, or it's really good at killing vehicles, and that's it. And even then, they're not very good at killing vehicles. Leviathans kill them in close combat. That Gravflux Bombard kills rhinos, and that's about it. Much better at killing infantry. So really, the Leviathan's only good at killing infantry. The Telemon has it beat in every single fucking way. So, obviously at this point people are going, fuck Macca, shut up, you're droning on and on, what's your point? Point is, you pay the same points for Custodes models that you do for Legion ones, they're just fucking infinitely fucking superior. Excuse the language. Why? How can you say that's balanced? If you give two different factions similar units, give one a whole bunch of extra shit, make them the same points, how are you gonna say that that's balanced? Yes, if you're playing Custodes, you're playing infantry all on foot, you're playing hammer and anvil, you start 72 inches away from the Imperial forces, they're running Dark Angels with 60 scimitar jet bikes with nucleic acid rounds in their heavy bolters that are AP1, on a good roll, AP2, whatever. Yeah, you might be able to kill those Custodes. But in a straight fight and a standard table, normal game with a Custode player with even half a clue, you're going to lose 99% of the time against Custodes. And it's got nothing to do with your tactics, it's got nothing to do with your skill level, it's got nothing to do with your list building. It's all because Forge World couldn't balance this shit. And it's really easy shit to balance. What's even more frustrating is that they often will release experimental rules for units. People will give them feedback and say, this is fucking broken, and then they just say, oh well, and they just let it go into the fucking game. Why? You can fix it. People are forewarning you that there's problems, and you choose not to fix it. Look at the Mechanicum. The Adeptus Mechanicus took a good 2 years to be fixed in 30k because of Castellax. They were game-breaking. A toughness 7 monstrous creature with 4s and 7s across the board for its stats. As a troops choice. And 70 points a troops choice at that. Before Forge World finally went, oh, yeah, this thing costs not much less than a tactical squad. That's balanced. Took them a couple of years to fix it. Come on. I think we should just outright ban Custodes from any kind of competitive play. And if we're playing narrative, that kind of thing, you've got to either be cool with losing when you play them, or you've got to say to the Custode players, you need to have 50% less points than your opponent. Because this shit is broken beyond belief. I've playtested it. I've played numerous games with Custodes. I've tried all different sorts of tactics. I've played against 40k armies with them. I've played against 30k armies with them. They are fucking broken. A Custode HQ can kill a Primarch. And we're not talking a Custode HQ who's a special character like Constantin Valdor, where it kind of makes sense. No, we're just talking generic Tribune Custode number 4. Even though there's only ever 3. But he can kill a Primarch consistently. One player even told me about how they were playing against Custodes, and this is a person I know and trust. They played against Custode and they had Vulcan and 5 Fire Drakes. That's the 2 wound Terminators with Storm Shields. Go up against a Legio Custode Tribune. And that one Custode killed Vulcan and all 5 of those Terminators. Thanks to his 2+ armor save, 3+ rerollable invul save. It is insane to think that someone at Forge World thought this shit is balanced. I'm Mac with the Outer Circle. Leave your thoughts and comments below about this clusterfuck, and I'll see you all next time.